Good morning, everyone. We are in Switzerland, so of course we will start on time, right? It's 10:15. We have an hour together this morning. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time so early. It's the first talk. I have the pleasure to get you started on this conference. Do you like Lugano so far? Yes? Yeah, it's an amazing day, beautiful weather, perfect time to spend some time inside in a room without daylight, right? Talking about Bitcoin. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks. I'll spend maybe the first 30 minutes to present, and then hopefully some more people will join, wake up, have a coffee and join, so we can do the second half of the presentation, a bit of a Q&A. As we have a small room, we can really spend it in a chill way together, and whatever questions you have on the topic of the presentation, which is what it takes to get a MiCA license. But also on any other topic you might have, like questions you might have on Bitcoin, on Relay, on how to build a unicorn in Europe, whatever is interesting for you guys, I'm very happy to talk about it, right? So thanks for coming. Let's kick it off. MiCA license. MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets, is a new regulatory framework that came up like 2.5 years ago. It got into effect beginning of this year, and we were at the very beginning. We were making this strategic decision that we want to get this license. We want to be among the first, if not the first, Bitcoin-only company in Europe to get this license, because we want to be pioneers. We want to be innovative on the product front, on the marketing side, but also, of course, on the regulatory side, because just whether you want it or not, it's a very important, crucial part of bringing Bitcoin to the people. Our mission is to bring thousands of Bitcoins to millions of people, and unfortunately, most Bitcoiners, of course, don't like regulation, but unfortunately, it's part of the game, right? It's one of the 3 core competencies. If you want to build a huge company bringing Bitcoin to millions of people, you need to be good at product, you need to be good at marketing, and you need to be good at licensing, regulatory, legal, compliance, risk management, operations, and all that kind of stuff. Everyone has great ideas, but then the implementation, the execution is really, really hard. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's really hard, but it's worth it. And you can talk to a few Relay employees in the audience. They will tell you on a day-to-day basis, it's really, really hard. And it's definitely a moat, right? Once you get such a license like that, not many other companies will get this license. But this license is important to bring Bitcoin to millions of people, and that's where we're here. That's why we went through this very tough journey of hard work, of a lot of tears and sweat and blood that we had to invest into getting this. So, spoiler, for those who want to turn off from now, the main message that I want you to take away from this is, if you want to get a MiCA license, it will take a lot of resources, like way more than you think. It's going to be way slower. It's going to take much more time than you think. It will cost much, much more in effort and money than you think. At least this was it for our case. So brace yourself for the reality. 2 years ago, we started off with a plan, right? We were like, okay, we have a small compliance team, we have a compliance officer, we have a head of legal, we have good lawyers. So this is how it will go, right? We will do this and then that. We have a plan. Will take about a year. Will cost maybe 100K or 200K. And then we had a step-by-step process in place, milestones, and we'll get there, right? In a very orderly, structured, linear way. Well, forget about that. The reality was way different. As usual in a startup, right? You always have a plan until you get hit in the face, right? That's what Mike Tyson said, but it's true in startup too. Like, you can have a plan, and you need to have a plan. You need to know where you're going and which steps are necessary, which milestones you need to achieve to get there. But in reality, it's never going to work out as you have planned. And that's the fun part of it. Like, that's why I'm a startup. I love this. Every day is different, you know, new problems to solve all the time. You never run out of problems to solve. But in reality, it really looks like that, right? You start pretty much into the direction for a few weeks, a few months, and then you get hit in the face. Yeah, you know, you lie down, you're like, oh, you're on your back, and you need to get up again, try again, pivot, move direction, get new resources in place, solve another problem. Maybe start from scratch, because you know, just you need to learn very fast. It's a constant iteration, and it's never going to be straightforward. You need to brace yourself for that. If you want to get a MiCA license for your business, if you need it, like, don't even get started if you think it's going to be easy or it's going to be a straight line. It's going to be a big mess, huge chaos, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of frustration, a lot of very hairy problems. But if it was easy, everyone can get it, right? There will, in my opinion, there will not be more than 100 companies in Europe that will have this MiCA license. We're one of the first 20 now. We're number 6 in France getting the MiCA license. So not many companies, especially Bitcoin-only companies, like there would be, if even a handful of Bitcoin-only companies in Europe that have this MiCA license. Why? Because it's super fucking hard to get it. So once you get it, it's a lot of, like, nothing valuable comes easy, right? So it's really, really hard. Brace yourself for reality if you want to do it. So I'm going to take you on this trip, this MiCA journey. For us, it started pretty much 2 years ago. In Q1 2024, we analyzed the market, the regulatory landscape. We figured that, oh, we probably should apply for this MiCA license because it's going to come. And once it's in effect, we will need it to be active in Europe, which is our beachhead, which is our most important market now. Around 80% of our volume and of our revenue and of our active users already come from European countries organically. So, of course, it was really important when this license came up, which allows us to do active marketing in EU, that we want to get it. So first of all, we need to decide, okay, yes, we will invest in this project. It's not going to be easy. We already knew it. We didn't even remotely imagine how hard it will get. But we know it's a project. We need to focus on it. We need to put resources in it. Okay, we decided that. We chose the right partners, the right lawyers, auditors, accountants, the country. We had to evaluate. We evaluated like 10, 12 different countries. We then ended up choosing France for our licensing, and then we need to create the plan, as you've seen it before, the linear plan with the requirement analysis, the project plan, what comes first, what comes next, responsibilities, who is doing what, timeline. We had a very nice roadmap in place, and we were ready to get started, right? Then, Q2, we had to actually change our corporate setup. So we were an operative company with a Swiss license, headquartered in Switzerland. Through reverse solicitation, we were able to accept users from EU countries passively, like when they, for some reason found out about us, we could accept them, but we were not able to do active marketing. That's also one big reason why we wanted to go for the MiCA license, right? So we had this operative company. In order to get an EU license, of course, we needed an EU company. So we had to found a company in this country that we chose, which is France. So we built a company in Paris. And so who is the owner of this company, right? It's not a new company. It needs to be under the umbrella of Relay. So we had to build a Relay group, a Relay holding, which is headquartered in Switzerland. So now we build two companies. One is the holding in Switzerland, which is the full shareholder of Relay Switzerland with the Swiss license, going for the Swiss market, covering the Swiss market, and Relay EU, which is in Paris, covering the, getting the MiCA license and covering the EU market. And that's, by the way, a structure also that we had to put in place in order to expand further. Like, once we decide to go to market and get licensed in the UK, in the Middle East, in the US, and we have the plan and the vision, of course, to be a global company in 10 years, we will do this like copy-paste style, and all under the umbrella, under the Relay group, under the Relay holding. So every time we want to enter a new jurisdiction, we will have to create a company on the ground, build a team on the ground, get the license, get the banking connections, get the partnerships in place, the service providers and everything, to be basically a subsidiary of the Relay Group there, so we can be active and market and acquire customers in this. So we have now a team of around 8 to 10 French employees that are working, at least virtually, working in our French office. So that was quite a ride already in itself to just build this corporate structure while running a growing business. Then in Q3, we had a very long list of product and tech requirements from the regulators that we had to put in place. If you know Relay, you remember that we actually started in a no KYC way, and we were no KYC up to 1K a day and 100K per year until Q3 2024, from summer 2020 to pretty much a year ago in October last year, we were no KYC. Can you imagine that up to 100K a year you could buy with us without any KYC? So we have onboarded more than 100,000 users in a no KYC way to Bitcoin. Well, MiCA changed this completely, of course. We could no longer have any single client that is not verified. So the next huge monster project was to get everything in place so we can, in a scalable and reliable way, onboard more than 100,000 existing users in a KYC, AML compliant way. So this means integrating 10 or 12 different service providers, build a lot of technology, also in the background, monitoring systems, anti-money laundering systems, anti-fraud systems. It's a lot. I can only imagine like all the nights that the legal and compliance department has worked to get this done, and also the product and tech guys. Like what we had to implement is madness here. And then the whole migration within a few months, bringing more than 100,000 users that were not verified to get verified, was insane. We had to retrospectively verify all these, and then, of course, make sure that in the future we can onboard in a scalable way another a few hundred thousands or millions of people. There were a lot of regulatory requirements, like a huge list that we had to implement. This process started in Q3 last year, and it took us most of our product and tech and compliance resources and operations resources to get this done. Because also, we had these two companies, well, they have different backends. They have different rules. They have different service providers that take care of different aspects because the regulation, the Swiss regulation and the EU regulation is different. Sometimes we have to do more here, less here. Sometimes we have different systems, different money flows, different ways how to store user data, etc., etc. So it's a hugely complicated thing to do also from a backend side. The user never sees this, right? For the user, it's like an iceberg. The user sees the front end on the phone, like the 10%, but then the 90% of the backend is hugely complex. A lot of shit can go wrong, I can tell you. A lot of shit did go wrong, and still is going wrong. But we have to fix things every day and just fail forward, basically. Then we figured out at the end of last year, well, we won't have enough money for this because it already the first 3 quarters, we were not even really, we didn't even submit the application yet. We were just getting ready. It already consumed more cash than we initially projected for the whole project. So we definitely had to raise money. We ended up, sounds easy now, but of course fundraising is always super hard. So after a few months of active fundraising, we got a nice 12 million Series A together. We were able to close it before Christmas. So we had enough capital, because there are huge capital requirements formally from the regulators, but also, of course, again, it costs just a lot of money. All these lawyers, all these internal employees, or these external advisors and service providers you need to work with, it all costs a huge amount of money. So we had to raise capital to be ready for that. So it's this last quarter, last year, I was basically road-showing, traveling, talking to investors, pitching, getting through due diligence while onboarding a great CFO that then took care of the closing of the round and the actual MiCA license project. He took this over, while still, again, running a relatively fast-growing business, basically at the side, right? So it's just a lot of work that comes together. So finally, we could start after a short Christmas break, the new year, Q1, with 12 million cash in the bank, which is great. And here only the journey really started, because here we had the application ready for submission. So we completed and submitted an application that had more than 10,000 pages. So can you imagine, like, I think 270, 280 documents with more than 10,000 pages. We produced all this, and it's not like writing a novel. It's not like easy language. It's hard, strict legal compliance language that we had to produce. We're 10, 12 of our compliance employees has done a phenomenal job of just getting the first draft, basically, of the application that then goes under due diligence and scrutiny of the regulators for the next few months and quarters. To get this ready is like a monster project. I've never seen anything at scale like this. And then it started, the feedback, like the regulator basically says, thank you for your application. Looks pretty good. We will look into it in more detail. And then from there, every week, we get questions. We exchange feedback. There are new requirements coming up. There are holes and gaps that they find in the application. They have more questions. So hundreds of questions over the next few weeks. We were in constant back and forth with the regulator. And from Q1 on, because MiCA really got into effect 1st of January 2025, we had to stop, like, super strictly. Before, it was kind of a gray area to do some sort of marketing activities still in the EU under the Swiss framework, because it's a bit more loose. Once MiCA was in effect, we had to absolutely strictly stop everything that could even remotely be considered active client sourcing in the EU. So we had to stop talking even about our referral program, about our affiliates, about our influencers, about active, press coverage, our organic marketing. We had to tune down a lot. We, of course, weren't able to sponsor any events, not be visible publicly anywhere, no paid advertising, just basically nothing for 80% of our market, because 80% of our market is outside of Switzerland. We had to just stop talking to our users and to our potential users. So this, of course, didn't help for growth, because, again, this is only one project of our company. The mandate, actually, of the company is to grow very fast, to at least double the business every year, to follow this unicorn journey we're on, and we have VCs that expect a lot of growth from us. So yeah, this is interesting, right? A lot of, I would say, 2/3 of our resources went into this project, and with the rest, we somehow, with basically handcuffs, had to try to get more growth and more Bitcoin to more people, which is our mission, right? In Q2 then, we had to, again, search for implementing a lot of processes, because all the application is basically policies and processes that we define. Well, now we need to, and now the regulator says, okay, this looks good. We go into more detail, but it looks good. So we needed to implement all these processes. There's some manual work. There's a lot of automations. There's a lot of tools to integrate, like fraud detection systems, risk scoring systems. We had to change our whole trading model. Before, it was an execution-based trading model. So we received an order. We received the money. We went out, buy Bitcoin, send the Bitcoin back. Very, very easy, low risk, highly automated. Whereas now in the EU, under MiCA, we had to change our model to a proprietary trading model, which means we need to hold at any time, and that's also why we needed more capital. It's a very capital-intensive system. We at any time have to hold enough Bitcoin and enough cash, so euro, to exchange directly as a counterparty with our users. So now under MiCA, it will be, okay, the user creates an order, and we wait, we fix the price, we wait for the money to come in, and then we send the Bitcoin directly from us. So we don't do it order by order. We take actually a bit of risk on our balance sheet, which was is basically a new company that we had to build, because there are new frameworks, new rules, new requirements. So there's a lot of back-end work that had to be done by, again, compliance, operations, and mainly product and tech teams. And when we were kind of done with all these implementations and testing, we had to get audited and certified on all of these things. Because you cannot just say, that's what we're doing, and yeah, we're doing it. No, they will check whether you actually do all this. So we had to pass an ISO certification. For a small company, like this is, big corporation have ISO certification. This is a small company with 50 people. This was insane. It was a very hard project to get done. We had cybersecurity audits, we had legal compliance audits, of course. We just basically had to adhere to almost banking grade standards, like the highest fintech standards that there are, because the regulators take no risk. This is a new license, it's a new industry for them. They don't really understand Bitcoin, right? So they go very, very deeply into checking every single move that you make. So that's also where most of these hundreds of questions came from, and a lot of, again, these audits, these certifications, they took a lot of time, took a lot of work, but we were able to get everything done. And then, so once the policies were okay, the implementation was okay and audited, basically they reviewed again the whole complete file. They reviewed it, we reviewed it internally, our lawyers reviewed it, to really finishing it up and completing it to a standard where we were like, where the regulator was comfortable to say, okay, I think you're ready for final approval. So then, now we're in Q4, where it's approval and go-to-market time. So we, once we get the final approval, we then also have to organize the whole migration, because all the EU clients that we now have on the Swiss company, of course, we need to migrate them to the EU company. And again, it's 80% of our roughly 100,000, more than 100,000 clients. So it's more than 80,000 clients that we had to move all their data, all their orders, all their trading history, everything. All these users we need to move somehow to another company. Imagine how fun it is to move 80,000 plus people to do one thing. It's very hard. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be the next big challenge. And then we need to go really live with a lot of marketing. Fortunately, we still have a lot of money in the bank. A lot of capital will go into marketing and growth. And finally, we will be able to do all this. Work with events, sponsor events, do paid advertisings, to much more content, talk about all our different aspects of the business, like the referral program, of course, the app, but also Relay Private, Relay Business. We will be able to onboard and really talk about all of our service much more. We'll be able to work with influencers, with media, much more active. So this is now the work will switch a lot back to, of course, product, but also marketing and growth. And then finally, we can also get back to really implementing new features that people really want, because so far a lot of our resources were just used up by this project. So now to the actual announcement. You're probably still figuring, so do they have the license now or not, or is he just talking shit? Actually, yes, we did yesterday afternoon. Thank you. Yesterday afternoon, at 3, the AMF, so the financial market regulator in the financial market authority in France, they had a committee meeting where they discussed our file and they unconditionally approved it. So we are now one of the first Bitcoin-only companies in Europe to get the official unconditional MiCA license. So this is really a big thing for us. I think it's the biggest project we've ever gotten done as a company together. And this very hard work paid off. So you will hear a lot from us from now on in the whole Europe, and we're going to conquer and take over Europe by storm now. So what it takes, if you think you also maybe want to do this. Just a few numbers as a summary. So definitely going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of nerves. Many times we wanted to give up. we felt like, let's not do this shit. I was sometimes thinking or dreaming about just founding another company in another less regulated industry. Honestly, I'm too passionate about Bitcoin, so I couldn't do it, and about the team, which is amazing, and I love what I'm doing, but it was so fucking hard sometimes. It really frustrating. So, in numbers, this means more than 10,000 pages of documentation was produced, and some of these appendices, around 270 appendices to the main application, many of them have 10 or more versions. So basically, the regulators came back more than 10 times on individual appendices where we had to change stuff. Around 150 questions from the regulator. I think it was much more because that's only the official questions through the emails. It was a lot of calls and meetings and like direct messages, etc. So I would say it's hundreds of questions from regulators. Around 12 full-time employees in the organization. We're around 50, 55, around 12 full-time employees only working on that. And that's not counting, that's mainly compliance and operations people. It's not even counting the developers that put most of their time also to implement all these tools. It took us 18 months, so we literally started beginning of last year, so roughly 18 months of work. And it cost us altogether a total budget of around $1 million. So like if you don't have $1 million to burn, to spend, if you don't have an additional 4 or 5 million that needs to sit as a capital on the balance sheet, and that's regardless of the money you will burn anyway every month as a startup. So in the end, probably the safe bet would be you need 10 million to be comfortable to even start this project. I'm glad I didn't know this at the beginning, because then we wouldn't have started, because we didn't have 10 million when we started it. So sometimes it's good to be naive and not know a lot of the shit that's coming your way before you start a project like that. But I think fair to say that you need this kind of, especially now, you need this kind of size. Because 2 years ago, we were among the first, and a lot of things were not known and were not defined. Now it is, and also now, hundreds of companies are waiting in line in every major regulator in Europe to get this license. So now it's a huge competition. So I'm very, very glad. This was a very good decision to be pioneering this, to be early, because we were among the first, and so we were able to get prioritized. There will not be unlimited licenses. They will give out 100, maybe max, absolute max, maybe 200 licenses in Europe, not more. So how can you get, and there are thousands of companies applying. So just because we were first, we were fast, and we were super committed and passionate and dedicated, and we had the perseverance, we had the mindset, we never gave up. That's why we made it, as even a relatively small company, if you compare to other companies that got this license, Bybit, Binance, Coinbase, Bitpanda. These are all billion-dollar companies, right? We are worth at this point less than 100 million, and so we're among the smallest that got it, just through this dedication, this very, very hard work and this laser focus, and because we're very, very early. When basically the word about MiCA license spread, we were going all in, and that enabled us to get it today. Also, what a lot of people really underestimate, I think, and what one of my biggest learnings also from this is you need a top network as well. So the human aspect is easily as important as the kind of hard fact content aspect. You can have the best application in the world. If you don't know the right people, you will not get prioritized. It's just the reality. It's not only about what you know, it's mainly also about who you know. And that's not only in like small, obscure jurisdictions. This is France. Or in Germany, it's the same. In Switzerland, it's the same. You need to know the right people to get what you want. Everything that adds trust to your company and that gives comfort to the regulator helps. And what gives most comfort is if you have experienced, reputable people backing you that also know the right people, know how the processes and the systems work, and can advise you to get what you want. So that's why we have invested a lot of time and money in building this local advisory board of amazing people that have like decades in combined experience in traditional finance, working with the regulators from different fields like banking, TradFi, fintech, regulatory, compliance, public services, etc., and legal advisors, etc., etc. So without that, just by having the perfect application and doing everything by the book, this is not enough. You need more than that. You need to get prioritized. Again, 150 plus companies are lining up to get this MiCA license that we just got in France, only in France. The regulator has maybe 10, 20 people that are working on this specific license, and all the work, like 10,000 pages per application, you can see where I'm going, right? They will not all, they cannot prioritize all of them. So how do they prioritize? Well, which ones, of course, have the best applications, have the most straightforward case, but also who has the best network around them that they trust. These are trust badges, right? If you have decades of experience and reputation and network, this is going to pump up your priority. And this is exactly what we've learned early and what we have invested in. That's why we're number 6. We're the 6th company in France that got this license. And there's still around 150 waiting. Not all of them will get a license. So you need to do everything you can. Mostly also it's about the human aspect. Which people do you have in your team? So why the fuck would you want to do this, right? Why would you want to go through this process? Well, I think it's worth it for many things. If you have the mission that we have of onboarding millions of people and bringing billions of dollars or euros or Swiss francs into Bitcoin, well, you need to think bigger. You need to have the market available, and you need to be able to offer a product that really excites people. So from a product perspective, and I will talk about the market perspective later as well, but from product perspective, we'll be able to offer additional services that our users are waiting for and asking for years. We simply, because of regulatory restrictions, we were not able to deliver it. Now we are finally able to deliver some of the most wanted features for our European clients. Which is, for example, buying Bitcoin instantly and 24/7 with instant SEPA. It's an easy request. We need instant SEPA, we need instant SEPA, because of course you can, even Sunday afternoon, you can buy $100 of Bitcoin, send the $100, you get it instantly through instant SEPA. The problem was, in order to offer that, you need a European EU-based bank account. In order to get a EU-based bank account as a Swiss company, you need to have a license. We didn't have. So we were, for 5 years now, we're on the market, quite successfully, without a European bank account. EU people still need to send money to our Swiss bank account. Sometimes it can take 2 to 3 days, and it can cost $10-15. They still do it, which is great, but now we have a much better way for them to send us money, right? Through instant SEPA. So this will go live even still this year. We have a fixed Bitcoin price at the time you do the buy order creation. So basically you can, tomorrow, you can say, okay, I want to buy Bitcoin for $100. You get the price, and the price is fixed. And you can pay with instant SEPA, so like instantly, within minutes, you see the price, you get the price, you get the Bitcoin. It's like super fast. And of course, this is what people wanted all the time. They want just fast, easy. They want to forget about it after a few clicks. It wasn't possible for regulatory reasons. Now it is. So this, I think, will be a huge deal. And by the way, it's all for free, right? As instant SEPA is at most banks for free. And then we can do higher monthly trading limits as well. Up to 100K a year so far. You could just get away with a light KYC, and then from 100K onwards, you need to go through more tedious KYC AML onboarding process. Now, with the new framework, And because we have a higher regulatory standard, we can offer 50K a month. So that adds up to potentially 600K a year that you can do with very light KYC, 5-minute KYC. You can trade 50K a month, which is a lot. And of course, this is huge for our clients, but it's also huge for our business. And then marketing. As I said, this whole year so far, we have a pretty good year, even though the market was very flat and we had handcuffs on. Like literally, we could do no marketing in our most important market, where 80% of our users are. We're still going to grow this year. It's still going to be not a great year, but a good year for us. We will grow this year still. But now, next year, we'll be able to go all in on marketing. We have enough capital, growth capital, to invest. We can do collaborations with influencers. We have them lined up basically already. So the major influencers in Bitcoin and finance in the most important EU countries like Germany, France, Italy, Spain, they're all waiting basically they were waiting for yesterday that we got the MiCA approval, so now we can start working with them. We can do more active marketing organically, but also through paid advertising. We can start sponsoring events again. We will sponsor BTC Prague next year, for example, the biggest European Bitcoin conference. We can sponsor sport clubs. We do this in Switzerland. We will be able to do this in the important EU countries as well. We can sign up ambassadors and advisors and work with companies that are multipliers. For paid advertising, we'll use the major platforms like Google, Meta, Apple, and X. These are just basic fundamentals for growth marketing, right? But we were not able to use all of them. Now imagine what potential will be unleashed next year, because we have one of the, if not the best marketing team, one of the biggest brands when it comes to Bitcoin in Europe, and we will now have all the instruments, all the tools, all the platforms available to us, and we have enough budget to really hit this hard. So I think this will be an amazing year for us, and we will bring so many more Bitcoin to so many more people. It's going to be insane. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's recap. If you want to get the MiCA license, it will take a lot of resources. It will go way slower than you think. It will cost more than you expect, much more. But it's going to be worth it, because it helps us to achieve our mission, to get more Bitcoin to more people, because we believe Bitcoin is the best store of value asset. It's the best money that has ever been invented, and we want everyone to get easy access to it. So it was worth it. Thank you so much. If you have questions, let me know. And follow me on social media. Any questions? Yeah. Liechtenstein, sorry, yeah, I didn't hear the whole question.
Yeah, thanks. A lot of companies seem to go to Liechtenstein right now. Why did you decide against that?
A lot of companies go to different countries. So some of them go to Germany, where it's much harder to get the MiCA license, but of course the most valuable one, because it's the biggest country. A lot of companies also go to Austria. Yes, some go to Liechtenstein. Many go to France as well. So there's the decision why we went to France and not to Liechtenstein was mainly because France is the second biggest regulator. It's one of the major regulators in the EU. They were leading in drafting the actual MiCA framework. So it was always clear, if you get the license from this country, you'll be fine. Whatever happens with MiCA, you'll be. It's literally the best among. Next to Germany, it's the best country you can get the MiCA license. It will be accepted by all the other countries. It will be accepted by all the other banks and service providers. So it's the best. It's not the easiest, but it's the best to have. Then if you go to Liechtenstein, for example, Liechtenstein is not in the EU, and is not even they're not even close to taking the lead of the MiCA framework creation, definition, etc. So they are following from an outside of the EU standpoint. I'm not aware that they even have given any license so far. I know other companies that are in the process, they are struggling. It kind of makes sense in the first perspective from Switzerland to just go to the small neighbor that speaks the same language, which is Liechtenstein, right? But it's a very small country. It's not in the EU. It was not close to the MiCA framework. So for me, for us, this was too big of a risk. We'd rather spend more time and effort and cost to do it right, and it might take a bit longer and it might cost more, but then you're with one of the top regulators, like almost nothing can go wrong. The risk is super, super low that something can go wrong. And with Liechtenstein, let's see when they will give out the first license. But they're definitely not in the lead, and we wanted to be in the lead.
Thanks.
This one over there. By the way, we have some merch to give out. Some caps, some socks, some T-shirts. There's more. Jordi, hands up. Where's Jordi? He's your man if you want some merch later on.
Without sounding pessimistic, what happens when all the banks start becoming brokers of Bitcoin? How does Relay survive in a market when the banks directly are going to make a commission for buying and selling Bitcoin, and there's no need to send money from one country to another country?
Yeah, they're already starting, especially in Switzerland and also in the other.
Germany announced, I think,
Germany
Sparkazi
as well.
is going to be offering it. So how does that?
For sure, they will all offer it. In 5, latest 10 years, they will all offer it. So one is we still have time now to onboard a lot of clients and win the trust of a lot of clients. But then 2, yes, they already have a trusted, big, active client base. And some of them will choose them. I mean, overall, we're still 90% of Europe is not onboarded to Bitcoin. So there's still a lot of work to onboard all these people to Bitcoin, right? And they will choose one of 3 ways how to invest in Bitcoin. 1, directly, self-custody. So that's our this is our niche, and that's where we are the biggest brand. If you want real Bitcoin and self-custody in an easy way with a trusted, regulated company, you choose us. That's one way. I believe this will be 20 to 30%, especially the younger generations. They want the real thing. They want Bitcoin. They want the whole freedom. They don't want the counterparty risk. They want whatever Bitcoin stands for, right? They want digital, independent, censorship, money, and store of value. That's what we can provide. But then, of course, some will choose just out of comfort. They will choose their bank because they trust their bank. They want someone to custody their funds. They will use a big bank, their existing bank, which is highly regulated, of course, or a crypto exchange. They don't really want to hold their own keys. They want someone to take care of it. It's going to be less user-friendly. We're basically a neobank, right? We're a fintech. We work. Is all about great UX, faster, better, easier. The banks are not as customer-oriented. And really, they will never offer Bitcoin in a self-custodial way. Never. Because it's their business model. Their business model is hold funds on behalf of the customers. So if you want that, and I believe that's another probably 30% that will go that way, well, that's fine, right? That's not necessarily our market. But still, if we get 30% out of the 90% of EU citizens, which is around 360 million people, it's still a pretty good market to catch. And then last but not least, some will just not even bother with banks, but just paper wrapper like ETF or ETPs. They will book it with their broker right into their portfolio. Some of them even need to, like institutional investors, pension funds, endowment funds, they need a regulated ETF wrapper around it that they can, with an easy number that they can book into their portfolio.
But
like
that's more like an IOU, Bitcoin IOU.
Yeah, there's double counterparty risk in that one, right? But it's a very traditional one. So I'm going from the most innovative way how to hold Bitcoin directly, which is us, to the most traditional one, which they all know, like ETFs. And there's a market for all of these. We focus on the self-custodial one, which I believe is the fastest growing, and it's just a big market.
Are there any plans to offer services to U.S. customers?
At one point, yes. We want to become a global company. We will do it step by step because as a fintech, all the different jurisdictions are very different and, of course, highly regulated. So we need to go step by step, again, as I said before, create a company, get the license, build a team, get the connections to the banks and other service providers, So we need to go step by step. The more resources we have, and we will raise another major funding round soon, the more resources we get, the more we can do in parallel. But the sequence will be just from here, Switzerland, EU, UK, Middle East, US, rest of the world. That's the goal. Thank you.
After him, I will continue. Hi.
Hi.
How was the user experience in terms of the migration to the KYC model? How you advise the customer, the users, that now they need to do the KYC, because probably most of them were using the app just because it was missing. And if you have some information regarding the retention rate that you had.
Yeah, interestingly, we were fearing that we will lose most of our business, to be honest. When we had to, like, the regulator said, look, you need to do this, otherwise you cannot operate any longer in Switzerland, and of course not in the EU. So we had to do it. Now the question was how to make sure we have a large conversion rate, and we were fearing that we will lose most of the business. Actually, it was better than expected, because most of our users are newcomers. I would say maybe 20% are like hardcore Bitcoiners, but usually hardcore Bitcoiners, they have other ways as well. Like they do peer-to-peer, they have decentralized, peer-to-peer, no KYC ways, or to use ATMs, or they have a network of friends, they exchange no KYC Bitcoin. So that's not necessarily our biggest market. Our biggest market is really newcomers that want a simple way to get actual Bitcoin, a trusted way, user-friendly way. And they didn't really care that much. So our conversion rate was higher than expected. It was like 60-70% of all the users that we had previously, we were able to successfully migrate to full KYC. And then what's really important is, of course, have good processes, and the KYC onboarding process working flawlessly, which was not the case at the beginning. But then now it is, now it's much better. And that was important. And then the support, like really being very close to our users. Whenever they have the slight doubt or problem, they could reach out to us 24/7. AI can take care of 60% already within an instant. But also we have a great support team that takes care within a day of any problems that a user has. That's how we build trust, and just by also providing a great user experience in the app, they're like, okay, it's actually worth it to go through the pain 1 or 2 days to get this KYC process done. It's worth it because it's just the simplest and best way to buy Bitcoin, set up a savings plan. I'm happy with them, I trust them, I like the brand, right? So it's really mostly about making it worth it to go through the pain. So then most of the people, if you help them, take their hand and help them through the process, most of them actually did. And those we've lost are customers that are like regular churn. You lose customers anyway. Some of them, they just decide to, for whatever reason. And of course, some of them were still like real Bitcoin enthusiasts, cypherpunk style people that just don't want to do KYC. That's fine. We also lost them. But we lost much less than expected. Actually, so in October, we had to make the clear cut of, okay, now everyone needs to get verified. November was our best month, interestingly. So many people did the KYC and started buying even more. It was, of course, also mainly related to the Trump pump back then. The market was very favorable. But also it just showed that actually it was not that big of a deal than we expected.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. I got multiple questions, actually. Can I?
Sure. Shoot.
Okay. So actually, we are building crypto AI influencer community hub. Okay. And we want to use, we are looking for a platform for, what is it called? Integration for the financials. So do I need a MiCA license? Number one. That's the one question. And then if I use your product as a integration, for the financials.
We would not like sub-license at this
Okay.
point. Yes, we would not help. I think there are companies that do that get a MiCA license and then they help with sub-licensing agreements for external companies to get into the EU market. We would not do that at this point. We can be integration partners in a sense that we will come up with a white listing. A white label solution so that other companies that are not regulated, for example, wallet providers, they can use our licensed broker onboarding service via API, SDK, etc., to offer to their clients this broker onboarding experience. But if you would need to find out with advisors, lawyers, etc., whether what you're offering is financial market relevant. If yes, then yes, you will need to seek a MiCA license at one of the EU jurisdictions. If not, if you're, for example, just a technology provider or just an events organizer or community provider, then you might not need. But that, of course, I cannot
As a
judge.
community provider, I'm looking for the payment gateway service.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
So it's a payment gateway, like.
Oh, payment gateway. Yeah. So you likely, maybe Martina. You can talk to Martina afterwards. She's the expert. But I think if you're into payments, yes, you will need to have a specific license.
You need a license.
Yeah. Yeah. If you touch money, you need a license. Very simple. Yeah.
I'll
Exactly.
catch up with you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Or you had enough? There's another one.
Thank you. I see that you support a lot for the European Union. You said SEPA, instant payment. So my question would be, will you support also Swiss SIG5 instant payment?
Yes, we already do. In Switzerland, you can you can make an instant payment. We have a Swiss bank account with we're banking with Swissquote, and with any Swiss bank account, yes, you can do an instant payment, and basically the money will be with us instantly, and your order will be executed also instantly, and you will get the Bitcoin a few hours later. We're also trying to improve the batch frequency to hourly. So in Europe, you will get within 1 hour at any time, 24/7, you will get your Bitcoin. If you pay with you pay with instant SEPA within minutes or max 1 hour, you will get the Bitcoin. And we want to move to the same system in Switzerland as well. Now that Switzerland allows, since I think summer this year, instant payments as well. So in Switzerland too, from next year on, you should be able to order Bitcoin, pay, and within 1 hour you will get the Bitcoin.
And the problem you had with joint account, that if you have a joint account, you cannot do it, then try it with Revolut. You don't support Revolut because they're in Lithuania. And
we do accept payments from Revolut. Yes.
A month ago or so it has.
Oh, really? Okay. Check with our support. We should be able to.
Or, I don't know, also Swiss card. You don't support Swiss card, also
credit
Swiss
cards. Sometimes we cannot influence what credit card companies often decide not to work with Bitcoin companies. So that's on the credit card level. We cannot influence. Yeah, credit card is still
tricky.
Not ideal. Still tricky. But with bank with bank payments, there should not be any issue, ideally. But yes, the joint bank account is a good point. It's on our roadmap. It's kind of a complicated topic, so we deprioritized it for now because you've seen what we had on the plate. We had to prioritize this big project. Next year, the goal is definitely also to offer the service for joint bank accounts. You will just need to verify yourself and the person you share the account with. Both need to be verified, and then we should be able to also accept payments from joint bank accounts. Thank you. All right, maybe last question.
This question is related to KYC. You mentioned that your app started as a no KYC app, so maybe a lot of people got interest because they can buy anonymously. Now you said 70% of conversion they are going verified. what about the 30%? My main question is, if I don't like to go for any KYC, but I already have a Bitcoin with you, yeah, how I can get that Bitcoin back?
Yeah, very good point. So you always have access to your 12 words, to your private keys. That's what we're all about, self-custody, right? So currently you cannot use, if you're not verified, you cannot use our app. But you, at any time you open the app, you can export your private keys and then import to any other Bitcoin wallet, and you have everything you had before, the balance, transaction history, etc. You just not buy or sell or transact with us anymore.
Okay, but still it is with your wallet, right? So I can move that my Bitcoin anytime, or?
You cannot use the relay front end. No.
Okay.
You can export the 12 words and import to
Some other
whatever,
Bitcoin wallet.
Green wallet or Phoenix or whatever Bitcoin wallet you want. And then from there you can transact
Yeah,
easily.
that makes sense. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So I think we're coming to end. Thank you so much for holding it. It was a pleasure, and I want to reward this whole attention that you shared with me. So please, if you want some merch, come here. Jordi, also come here. Give people some merch if you want to, and thank you.